Yes, good morning to you. And the first day of this two-day strike has already seen, at this point, two buses, a satellite in the Khayelitsha area. We understand that one was a Golden Arrow bus and the other a My City bus. And that, according to police sources, happened earlier this morning. We visited, for example, the Cape Town taxi rank this morning. And unlike other mornings where there would be a hustle and bustle, it was absolutely dead quiet. Not a single taxi in sight. And the few commuters that did make their way through that taxi rank, they told us that it's highly inconvenient, that the majority of workers depend on taxis for a means of transport to get to and from work. Many of them saying that they don't have the finances to use alternative transport, and of course saying that they do wish that the strike will end swiftly. But at the moment, I'm standing here in front of the False Bay College terminus. It's really, I'll step out of shot so that you can see. It's where the buses here in Khayelitsha get together, the Harare buses get together here. And of course, what you're seeing in the background is a police contingent as well as Metro police officers. And they, of course, are stationed here this morning in light of those violent incidences that we have seen taking place. One of the buses that we came across, it's basically a burnt out shell of a Golden Arrow bus in Palmer Road. They, of course, are here at the moment, and we are told, and we've actually seen that buses in and around the Khayelitsha area are being escorted by police and law enforcement officials to make sure that they do not come under attack. Now, there are a number of unconfirmed reports of stonings, etc. I've spoken to the police spokesperson here in the Western Cape, Brigadier Novella Patalwa, a short while ago. She's reporting to us that, for example, in the Bellville area, another big interchange, all seems to be quiet at this moment, and then saying that they are following up on reports in the Milton, Dunoon area. So at the moment, I can tell you that the situation still remains very volatile in the Khayelitsha area this morning. You'll know that buses do not go into the Nyanga area, for example, so we'll make our way there just now. We understand that, as usual, when it comes to days where there's strike action, quite a number of commuters would have this morning in the early peak would have been stranded or waiting at the Borchard Squarry turnoff. That, of course, is the pickup point where they would then make their way out of the various township areas into or onto the sort of main road, the N2 highway at Borchard Squarry interchange, and that's then where they would find their buses and the other means of transport to get to work. So at the moment, I can tell you it seems relatively quiet here, but we will be making our way back into the township of Khayelitsha itself to have a look-see whether the situation remains so. You'll understand that, of course, the peak hours in the morning peak and afternoon peak is when we can expect most of the commuters to feel the brunt of the strike, as people then try to either get home or get to work using a service really that forms the backbone, if one will, of public transport in the Western Cape. And you've said there in the intro just now, one of the issues raised by SANTACO is, of course, the suspension of that Blue Dot pilot program. It's something to the tune of 200 million rand. I think I've got that figure correct, over 200 million rand. And the provincial government saying that this service will now be suspended or rather the program will be suspended as of the end of November due to a lack of funding. The transport, the taxi industry, SANTACO in particular, saying that they don't agree with that because, of course, they would have been incentivized for providing a good quality public transport service. And, of course, there would have been financial compensation with the adherence to the rules of the road and all the other requirements as per that Blue Dot taxi pilot program. So at the moment, it seems very quiet where we are, but we will keep you updated with the latest as and when it happens throughout the day as we cover this taxi strike here, and particularly the focus today in Khayelitsha, where we've seen those violent incidents taking place with the torching of at least two buses in the early hours of this morning.
Vanessa, I know you're rushing to go, but a quick one. What were the elements of the Blue Dot program that were really working for the taxi industry, and was it a success?
I would say it was a success, and I mean, if one looks at the reasoning for SANTACO actually taking, or rather staying away, not taking to the streets, staying away today in their strike, they would like this program to continue. It was the pilot program. I think it was launched in May last year, if I'm not mistaken, and of course, it included, for example, dashboard cameras. It included monitoring of various taxis that were part of this pilot program to ensure good driver behaviour, to ensure a safe public transport service really for commuters. That, of course, at the time of the launch, the provincial government said that this is what they're aiming to do, to make sure that there is a decent public transport service in the Western Cape, and of course then the financial incentives that comes with that. According to the provincial government, they do not have, the funding has run dry, so therefore the service will not be suspended. And if one just looks at the unhappiness of the taxi industry by embarking on this 2-day strike, means that they themselves were eager. They bought into the pilot program. And this is why they are dissatisfied today. They're wanting the program to continue so that the sort of, shall we call it a financial compensation, an incentive, continues for members of the taxi industry here in the Western Cape.